The Supreme Court has just delivered what many are calling the most severe blow to Donald Trump's legal defense during his political career. In a decisive 7-2 ruling, the justices firmly denied his much-touted presidential immunity appeal. Interestingly, even his own appointees voted against him, sending shockwaves through political and legal circles alike. But the surprises didn't end there. Warren Buffett, who has largely stayed silent on anything Trump-related, has made an unexpected statement that's causing ripples both on Wall Street and in Washington. It's remarkable to see this unfold, as what lies ahead could significantly shape Trump's future, including the very real possibility of federal prison. For years, Trump and his team have been crafting what they touted as an unassailable legal defense. Ever since the federal indictments began piling up in 2023, his strategy has revolved around constitutional arguments, executive privilege claims, and challenges to the very legitimacy of the special counsel's role. His legal team, led by Todd Blanche and Chris Kise, has stood firmly behind the belief that a president, even a former one like Trump, should hold immunity from prosecution. Whether it concerned classified documents, the events of January 6th, or election interference, Trump's defense consistently emphasized a singular theme: I was president, therefore I'm untouchable. However, as the legal battles have dragged on, now stretching over 18 months, the situation has grown significantly more complex. Trump's trials are accumulating rapidly, with his legal fees reportedly surpassing $100 million and rising. His campaign appears less about political aspirations and more about funding his legal struggles. At the heart of this clash is one pivotal question: should a former president be held criminally accountable for actions taken while in office? The Supreme Court now finds itself at the epicenter of this debate. This brings to light a key detail. Trump himself personally appointed 3 of the sitting justices: Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett. Trump had anticipated their loyalty towards him, and in fact publicly expressed confidence that these justices would shield him legally. His rhetoric only amplified as his appeals moved forward. He dismissed any suggestion that these justices might not side with him as fake news, going so far as insisting that real justices understand presidential power. In doing so, Trump didn't just state his expectations privately, he broadcast them openly at rallies and in interviews, making it abundantly clear that he believed he was owed their allegiance. This dynamic raises serious concerns about judicial independence in the United States. Legal experts began sounding alarms about the potential consequences of such direct pressure, speculating on how it might damage public trust in the integrity of the judiciary. For Trump, however, such tactics are nothing new. Time and again, he has displayed a pattern. Those close to him remain valuable only so long as they serve his interests. The moment they falter or fail to deliver unconditional support, he discards them without hesitation, often turning aggressively against them. Consider his history with figures like Jeff Sessions, one of his earliest loyal supporters, whom Trump quickly turned on after Sessions recused himself from the Russia investigation. Or Bill Barr, once praised for defending Trump during his tenure as Attorney General, only for Trump to brand him weak and disloyal when Barr refused to back baseless claims of election fraud. Even Mike Pence became a target when he declined to overturn the election on January 6th. Trump's wrath extended toward Kevin McCarthy, too. Initial admiration turned into thinly veiled threats after McCarthy criticized him post-January 6th. Now, it looks like his Supreme Court appointees are facing a similar predicament. Despite their votes on previous cases demonstrating certain sympathies to Trump's agenda, this latest ruling clearly crossed a line for him. The central constitutional issue at hand was whether Trump could invoke absolute immunity for alleged criminal acts while in office. In rejecting this claim, the Supreme Court sent a decisive message that no person, even a former president of the United States, is above the law. This marks not only a monumental moment in Trump's ongoing legal troubles, but also a defining point for how presidential accountability will be shaped going forward. Trump's legal team attempted to convince the courts that presidents, while in office, should be entirely immune from legal accountability, a protection that would even extend beyond their term. In stark opposition, the special counsel argued that such a stance would elevate a president to the level of a monarch, immune to any form of accountability. The central question before the court was whether the foundational principle that no one is above the law still holds in America. As expected, Trump's lawyers adopted an extreme position, asserting total immunity and resisting any limitations. Their approach seemed single-minded, urging the courts to shield Trump from consequences entirely. During oral arguments, there were moments when some conservative justices appeared to entertain the implications of prosecuting a former president, asking probing questions about precedent and accountability. Yet over time, the cracks began to show. Legal experts highlighted the flaws in Trump's argument, with constitutional scholars emphasizing that the Founding Fathers never intended for presidents to enjoy absolute immunity. Even conservative commentators openly expressed concerns about the danger of such a position. As public awareness grew, so did unease. Polling revealed increasing anxiety among Americans about the potential for presidents to evade justice. This shifting sentiment didn't go unnoticed by the Supreme Court, which carefully guards its legitimacy and role as protector of constitutional principles. The justices faced a critical moment, balancing questions of legality against the risk of being perceived as partisan actors. When the decision finally came down, it was decisive, a 7-2 ruling against Trump's claim of immunity. Chief Justice Roberts' majority opinion was strikingly direct and groundbreaking in its language, marking a significant rebuke. For Trump, the outcome was infuriating. To him, any decision that doesn't favor him signifies weakness and betrayal. He wasted no time unleashing criticism against justices, labeling equal application of the law as disloyalty. This ruling has placed Trump in a precarious position. On one hand, he needs judicial backing to shield himself from multiple federal cases that carry serious consequences, without immunity. On the other, he must confront the reality that even his own appointees are bound by the Constitution and cannot exempt him. Facing trial as any other accused citizen greatly undermines his persona as someone untouchable. Accepting this decision would mean admitting he is subject to the law, something fundamentally at odds with his self-image. Caught in this bind, Trump risks alienating his conservative legal allies through continued attacks on the judiciary, a strategy that could erode future support, or acknowledging defeat, which would clash with his rhetoric of unwavering strength. His demands for absolute loyalty often come at a cost. When things don't go his way, he retaliates harshly, even against longtime allies. Internally, the fallout is palpable. Trump's inner circle is under immense stress, alarmed by the court's pushback and wondering who might be next to feel his ire. Moderate Republicans hoped for compromise, but now find themselves uneasy about being linked to Trump's assault on legal institutions. Meanwhile, his most ardent supporters accuse the justices of betraying him and suggest they've succumbed to establishment forces. This tension took another turn when Lindsey Graham, a consistent Trump loyalist, diverged from him following the ruling. Graham advocated for a more tempered response and criticized Trump's relentless attacks on the court. For a key ally to voice dissent signals the magnitude of this moment. Legal experts across ideological lines have stated unequivocally that this ruling marks one of the Supreme Court's most definitive rejections since United States v. Nixon. Andrew McCarthy, a conservative legal analyst often supportive of Trump, acknowledged on Fox News that this ruling is airtight and beyond appeal, marking a definitive end to Trump's efforts. Alan Dershowitz similarly noted that the court's reasoning was profoundly damaging to any claims of presidential immunity. This moment represents not just a legal defeat, but a broader reckoning for Trump's approach toward accountability and governance. As he grapples with these consequences, both his allies and detractors watch closely, knowing that much hangs in the balance, not just for him, but also for America's legal and political systems. When legal experts from opposing sides start using terms like devastating or end of the road, it signals a critical moment worth paying close attention to. Still, there's more to this story. Warren Buffett, legendary investor and the Oracle of Omaha, has made an unexpected statement through Berkshire Hathaway that has caught everyone off guard. Notably, Buffett has long avoided commenting on political controversies, including Donald Trump's legal troubles, preferring to focus on markets and business. However, the Supreme Court's recent decision appears to have compelled him to break his silence. In his statement, Buffett asserted that the Supreme Court's ruling underscores a fundamental truth every American business leader understands: no one is above the law. He emphasized that the stability of markets and the broader economy relies on the rule of law, warning that challenging this principle threatens the bedrock of the economic system. Buffett further advised investors to pay attention when even the most powerful individuals dismiss legal accountability. Coming from someone who has built a decades-long reputation for steering clear of political disputes, this marks an extraordinary moment. To underscore the impact of his words, Berkshire Hathaway's stock gained 2% in after-hours trading, suggesting investor alignment with Buffett's concerns. The implications of this high-stakes legal showdown stretch far beyond Trump. It has significant consequences for both democracy and governance. Politically, the fallout is immediate. Trump is already reeling from multiple indictments and declining favorability ratings. Concern is growing among Republican lawmakers as anxiety over the 2024 election sets in. His criticism of the Supreme Court, even targeting justices he appointed, only adds fuel to the fire. By accusing them of being disloyal and corrupt, Trump risks alienating a portion of Americans who hold deep respect for the judiciary, even amidst disagreements with specific rulings. Democrats are poised to leverage this situation, framing Trump as a leader who considers himself above the law and dismissive of constitutional principles. The Supreme Court's decision will serve as hard evidence to bolster their claims. Expect to see this ruling repeatedly highlighted in campaign ads, speeches, and debates as evidence of perceived authoritarian tendencies. For the Supreme Court itself, this ruling presents both risks and reaffirmations. Chief Justice Roberts has worked diligently to maintain the institution's nonpartisan image and shield it from political skirmishes. However, by issuing a definitive ruling against Trump, the court has stepped directly into a heated political conflict. Trump and his allies are likely to accuse the court of bias and question its legitimacy, further complicating its pursuit of impartiality. Yet Roberts may have seen this as an unavoidable moment. Had the court sided with Trump on immunity, its credibility would face an even graver threat. Ultimately, this case casts a stark spotlight on a cornerstone of American democracy. No person is exempt from the rule of law. At its core lies a constitutional question: can a president invoke immunity to evade accountability? A decision in Trump's favor would have upended constitutional norms, recasting the presidency as a position exempt from checks and balances. The Founding Fathers deliberately rejected creating such absolute power, instead drafting a framework where judicial oversight could restrain executive actions. Granting immunity would not only have emboldened authoritarian leanings, but also set a dangerous precedent for future leaders. This isn't just about one person. It's about safeguarding democratic principles for generations. Each time Trump undermines norms, disparages institutions, or claims exemption from legal scrutiny, it chips away at democratic foundations. The stakes extend well beyond this one ruling. They revolve around preserving the integrity of governance and ensuring accountability at all levels of power. It begins gradually normalizing behavior that was once entirely unacceptable. Consider this. If Trump could claim absolute immunity, what would stop future presidents from doing the same?
If leaders are free to commit crimes without consequence, what prevents others from following that path? These actions don't fade away when Trump leaves office. They reshape our reality, and that's deeply concerning. Democracy depends on norms and institutions grounded in the expectation that those in power will abide by the rules, even when inconvenient. When these norms break down, democracy itself is put at risk. As we approach the 2024 election, these issues are likely to have significant implications. Though the election is still 11 months away, the narrative unfolding right now is critical and will shape the months ahead. If the dominant story becomes one of Trump clashing with every major institution and losing, it could spell trouble for Republicans. Voters tend to reject chaos and dysfunction. They seek stability and competence. At this moment, Trump offers neither. Democrats are likely to seize this opportunity to promote a message centered on restoring order and the rule of law. After years of disruption under Trump, many voters, including some moderate Republicans, may welcome the promise of an independent Justice Department and a return to normal governance, free from endless constitutional crises and attacks on institutions like the Supreme Court. Recent developments highlight this shifted dynamic. The Supreme Court handed Trump a severe legal setback, with rulings against him even from justices he appointed. This case is about far more than one individual. It strikes at the heart of whether the principle that no one is above the law remains intact. Had Trump's immunity claim succeeded, it would have signaled that the Constitution no longer holds weight and that presidents could act without accountability. This goes beyond Trump's own legal battles. It's about preserving the checks and balances fundamental to American governance or surrendering to power grabs. The next few weeks will be pivotal. Warren Buffett weighing in and market reactions underline how high the stakes are. Trump's legal team must strategize the response, his political allies face mounting pressure on whether to continue defending him, and his criminal trials are accelerating without the shield of immunity. The evidence is mounting, the stakes are unprecedented, and the trajectory is uncertain. What we're witnessing is not just one man's clash with the justice system. It's a test of the nation's commitment to its foundational principle. No one is above the law. This is far from over. It's only beginning.